Good morning.
Well,
Go ahead.
you ready for me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. Small beautiful plan. Give you food. Block you for everything to do. Do for the money. You don't. Thank you for the that this time one. The breath is an every so I bring this to you. Never bring but much. For like for hard. But I look at the stuff when I go 5 minutes as I feel after remembering ministers and them holy not forget to say God and holy can also can be everything there are you but I'm told to bring this for you this morning out of can have him but this is our bench but I bring it remember I remember those ones you is our love my goodness our love leave alone for our for our I remember each and every one of them know the pain out from themselves and was with people with their right with evaluate I give us a bit of evaluate which is not satisfactory and already station is our finding me for this our every one of them cannot name one which he to them for a message charge by name is not like what cannot be broken right so all God them living like small as on this recent out behind remember the God and furniture every one of this in those of his so remember that I will them to that time is a time to public remember to every had your from friends bring them to your less than small less than please God and my mama is can have my teach as a candidate said one in heaven would it be like me from come or not in heaven but I'm to give us a yes this is Jesus not it but deliver from me for God I want the glory forever and thank you Lord yes what say why
Jester is not here this morning.
okay who's what
No, just have a guest with me this morning.
yeah yeah
So we expected you to call and give your contribution.
about
I would like for you to call and give your contribution.
so anytime
Okay. All right.
all right
So this morning we would like to say um, special good morning to Marlon Klein. Is my echo. Good morning to Marlon Klein, Kathleen Harley Douglas, Bernie Aben, Coffee in the Morning, Daphne Date and family, the the Hill Street family, the Glean family, Olavachi, NP, Lorna Bain in Toronto. Well, actually, she's in Grenada right now. Mary in Toronto, Alban Harris, the Duchess, Donna Sandy, Mr. Snug, Marlon Klein, Miss Kenro, Mona, SBW, Buddy in the Track, good morning. The people under the cashew tree, good morning. Good morning to you, Joycelyn Noel. Good morning to you, Kathleen Ledlow. William Broadcast, 107.5 FM. Good morning to you. Good morning to We Noise FM, 94.9 and 107.5 Weebs FM. Good morning. Would you, well, my guest, let me ask my guest if you'd like to say good morning to anybody.
Good morning to the listening public and those who are viewing via YouTube. Um, good morning to the staff and students of the best school on the west of the Tri-Island state of Grenada, Carrico, and Petite Martinique, and that is St. Mark's Secondary School. I would also like to say a very special welcome. Good morning to my sister who's celebrating her birthday. She is in Indiana and she's celebrating today.
Wow, good morning. So, this morning we have a very, very interesting topic. Um, how parents heal their children's confidence without knowing. And this one is a very, very, very deep topic, and we pray for your indulgence. We ask that you comment or call. The number to call is 404 1189. Okay, so let us go straight into the program. So parents can kill a child's confidence without even without them even knowing that they are doing it, right? Did you know, or did you have a parent like that? That's the question. The first question.
If I had a parent like that, very interesting question. Um, First of all, I would like to define the meaning of confidence. And the Cambridge Dictionary defines it as the quality of being certain of your abilities. And I think in some way, my parents, not intentionally, like the topic says, and they were not the only ones because I grew up in an extended family. And so I had aunts and I had cousins. And I knew from a very young age that I was loved and that I was appreciated. But I may have been one of the more sensitive siblings or one of the more sensitive cousins growing up within the family. But I think some things that are innate in persons, they come across even when persons' intentions are not meant to hurt. And so, as a result of that, they're not aware as to what it is that you're doing. Now, parents and guardians and family members need to recognize that at a particular age, children are like sponges.
Right.
You know, we soak up everything. We soak up what we hear, we soak up what we experience, we soak up what we feel. And the persons who are firstly responsible for helping us to feel that sense of worth, that sense of value, our parents and our guardians, the persons who are around us on a daily basis, because we know them intimately. And as a result of that, they know us intimately as well. So their view and their perception of us carries a lot of weight. And so growing up, one of the things that hurt the most for me, and it wasn't directly my parent, but like I said, other family members, was the comparison. Now, I am the middle girl, and my sister, of course, was older, and my sister was very intelligent. And my sister was one of the persons that I looked up to in my family because I wanted to be like her. She was always placing top in her class. You know, she was the ideal first child. And I wanted to be like that as well. And I remember having a family member who repeatedly said to me, you will never be as good as. And sometimes I think they see it as some sort of reverse psychology where that is meant to motivate you to give your best. It can work with some children, right? But with other children, what it can create is that level of animosity, that feeling, oh, I am not good enough, I will never be good enough.
Right.
And sometimes it prevents you from pushing yourself beyond a particular limit because you're telling yourself, because my family believes this, it becomes such a part of you that you start believing it yourself. That no matter what you do, you will always be less than. You will never be at your particular sibling standard. And so I think it is very, very important at that very young age to be careful how we help our children to view themselves. And like I said, it's not sometimes intentional. We do it because maybe we grew up with it being done and we pass it on, not recognizing the effects of it.
Um, do you know that some parents, just to reflect on blame, you know, they say that they compliment the child all the time,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And just reflecting, you know, sometimes they give you compliment, but it is sarcastic,
Yes.
right? And with that sarcastic comment, it could be hurting your child's self-esteem.
Very much so.
So before we go into details, right? As a principal slash teacher slash overall parent of students, how do you how does your children's confidence how is children's confidence being affected in the on the school level
Well,
on a day-to-day basis?
right.
How does teachers affect a child's confidence in the school setting?
One of the things I would always encourage my teachers to do is to speak life into children. And so, another group of persons who children tend to look up to very highly and whose view they value, similar to that of parents and guardians, to that of their teachers.
Right.
So I say to my teachers every single day, speak life into your students. And I know sometimes there are children within our schools that can push us.
Yes.
They can push us to cross certain lines. But the reminder is important because the words of a teacher can stay with you for life. And sometimes children are derailed, they're not on the path that you want them to be. And sometimes, as a teacher, it is our responsibility to stop them and to say to them, I see you. I see what you're capable of. But the path that you're on now is not the path that you need to be on. And if you continue along that path, then you will not become the best version of yourself or the person that I know you can be.
Right.
Now, that doesn't happen that is the ideal situation. And so that is why I said I always say that so that we can encourage our educators, knowing how important their views
Yeah.
are and how they are held by our students, to encourage them to always speak life, speak positively, even when it might be the child who's driving you up the wall every single day. Sometimes
Yeah.
that particular child is just merely looking for your attention. That self of confidence is not there at home because they're being pulled down at home. Every term that is used to refer to them is derogatory, and that is compounded in school.
Right.
Then we know what kind of individual we are creating for society. So it's just a means of ensuring that our teachers keep that at the forefront of their minds and keep reminding them of the importance of doing just that, speaking life into children, that even though they may be troublesome, even though they may be difficult, we also have to recognize that children are transitioning. They are finding themselves, they're growing. And sometimes we just need to exercise a little patience. But we know in this era that is asking a lot of educators with what we are facing on a daily basis. But I believe everything is possible through the grace of God.
Yes, yes, it's true. And then with society, it's like they expect they expect teachers to be at a particular level, and
Yes.
um you're a teacher, you deal with children every day, so I expect that from you. So
Yes.
all that.
But mind you, some of them cannot handle the same type of behaviors at home. And remember too, that when teachers are in the classroom, they may not be dealing with one child. You may have one child at home.
Their personality is
You're dealing with maybe 20 plus children, and maybe sometimes a quarter of them have those behavioral issues. Yes. Not excusing bad behavior, but just stating the reality of our situation.
Yeah. So, one of the greatest gifts you can give your children is confidence.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Mhm.
The courage to face to face life with boldness and to believe in themselves and to rise even after failing.
Yes.
Unfortunately, many well-meaning parents unknowingly destroy this gift with their words, action, or silence. And this one is a big one, silence.
Mhm.
So when the child is expecting you to explain or to give a reason why, sometimes there are a lot of parents that normally they tell a child, don't do this, don't do that, but they
No
don't know the reason
explanation.
why.
Yes.
Right? And confidence is not something children stumble upon.
No.
It is nurtured in the home, as
Yes.
you said earlier. And if you notice that your child is becoming timid,
Mm.
withdrawn, or overly dependent, it may be a signal that something in your parenting style needs adjusting.
Yes.
So today we are going to talk about, well, I have 12 ways parents can unintentionally destroy their child's self-esteem. You may have your own points, so
Yes.
we'll collaborate.
Of course.
The first one is constant criticism.
Mm.
And when every mistake is met by harsh words, can't you ever do something right? A child begins to believe that they are a failure.
Mhm.
Correct them with love, not condemnation. Children need guidance and not running commentary of their flaws.
Totally agree.
Right? I don't know if you had this point, but
Yes,
let's just
I
expound
actually
a bit.
yes, I actually had that point. We like to say that our criticism should be constructive, stated in such a way that persons are not left feeling worthless and as though they cannot pick themselves up and move again. And many of our inventions, when we think about it, they came about through mistakes. And sometimes when we become parents, we believe that our children ought not to make mistakes.
Right.
But it is through making mistakes
And they learn.
that lessons are learned.
Yeah.
And I am not talking about the life altering mistakes that when this particular thing happens, then they cannot find themselves again. Um, Failure, and I like to break it down and I tell my children, fail is not the dictionary's definition. That's not the definition that we work with. It's first attempt in learning, meaning that you gave it the first shot. It did not work out. And you tried, and the first shot you gave it, you would be able to recognize what you did that did not work. And so that is why I say sometimes failure and sometimes mistakes is a stepping stones to improvement and to finding another way to deal with this particular situation, another method, another means through which you can succeed. And so the constant criticism and hearing consistently that you can't do it well and you're not doing it well and those kind of things, it breaks a child's
and then you're not doing
confidence.
it as how it's supposed to be done.
And note well too that these things sometimes are not followed by guidance. So, for example, it's simple things at home. You may tell a child to wash the dishes, and it may not have been washed to your standard.
Right.
And you come into the kitchen and you may see sometimes the soap suds still on the dishes, and maybe there is still some grease, and you just that's what you spend time doing.
Yeah.
Eh? You can't even wash wets properly. Instead of simply saying, and Jane, Jack, look at the situation in front of us.
Right.
Is this the best you could have done? Maybe you could have done this way, or maybe do this way. Or when you're washing dishes, make sure you wash the cups and the glasses first before you mix it with. So sometimes as parents, we we want to correct, but it's the means through which we correct.
Right.
We want to ensure that our correction and the errors or the flaws or the mistakes that we notice in our children, we address them in such a way that our children do not feel handicapped to the point that, okay, I can't do this again. I
Right.
can't try again.
And then what kind of break them too is that you want it to be done in a particular way. You learn from your parent that, that is how and I stew chicken. So
Right.
you have to follow that particular pattern.
Yes. So there is no other way to stew chicken, but it has to be that
That
particular way.
particular way. So that child might try. And the child do it a particular way. Right? The chicken come out brown.
Yes.
But you criticize the child because that is not what you know.
Exactly.
So that could cause a child's confidence to break.
Yeah, I had a typical example of that. One of the things I didn't do very young was cook at home because I was always afraid of the comments because everybody else, not ashamed to say this, everybody else seemed to have been a little more competent in the cooking area. Good. And so even when you wanted to try, I didn't because I was afraid of the criticisms that I would get. I was afraid of, hey, that don't tasting good.
Right.
What she make day, what kind of thing is that? As opposed to saying, okay, Carrie, so I know cooking is not your thing, but come and try. Come and give it a try. And you never know. And I will guide you. I will help you. I will
Right.
assist you.
Yeah.
So it's only when I started living on my own that I started doing my own experiments and becoming my own taster
Right.
and having my friends taste and say to me, okay, this is good, but maybe you could have done this
Yeah.
differently. And I think these are skills that can be developed at a younger age if our children are given that kind of support to make the mistakes, to have that space where they can learn, to have that space where they can correct their mistakes and just keep trying.
Yeah.
Because parents fail to realize that they too were young.
Right.
And
You made mistakes just the same.
precisely. And this is not me bashing any parent because I respect parents. I respect the work that they do. I respect the fact that they step up to the plate despite the many challenges that they face. Many of
Yes.
our households are run by a single parent who has to get up in the morning
Yeah.
and go out to make the dollar, come back, and then they don't even see their children.
Right.
Because sometimes when they return home, their babies are in bed. So it's
Yes.
a lot of pressure that are on many, many parents. And parenting does not come with a guidebook. You expect to be a parent, but nobody trains you to be a parent. And what tends to happen is that you practice what you would have learned. How you are a parent is what you pass on. But I still think that we have a responsibility
Yeah.
because if we're self aware as parents, we would recognize that some of the means through which we were parented was not the best.
Yeah.
And even though you may not necessarily have all of the means, most of us have a cell phone. Most of us have access to data. There are a lot of parenting books, there are a lot of parenting tips out there that we can access so that we can become the best
Better
parents we can possibly be because we are molding an entire being
Yes.
that is expected to go out in society and become a contributing member of society.
And then another thing, we have to move from, we have to adjust to the eras.
Oh, yes.
Because back then, what was parenting like in terms of the household you came from? Most of the household back then was single parents,
Yes.
right? Today we try a lot to evolve from
Yes.
from this era. But then the parenting style is still a problem because the father might have a particular parenting style and the mother would not agree.
Right.
And think that father is taking advantage of that particular child and the ways the mother might speak to that particular child in a situation. So we have to kind of evolve from as the
Yes.
years progress. We need to evolve.
And I think in the ideal situation, um, these are things that families have to sit and discuss. I don't think we are discussing
Right.
society where it's always important to have a united front when you are dealing with your children. So as parents, you may not necessarily agree wholeheartedly. And I don't think that it's something that has to be known to the child. I think it's something that has to be discussed in private. And I think it's always important to decide, okay, how are we going to parent? How are we going to deal with that situation?
Yeah.
Or based on what is in front of you, it's always good enough to say, okay, you don't have to respond immediately. You know
Right.
what? I will speak with your father and then we'll deal with you. I will consult with your father and then I'll deal with you.
We have a call. Let's see that call.
Yes.
Good morning, caller. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, caller. Not hearing.
Okay, yes.
So,
Good morning. How are you doing?
okay, I'm okay.
I'm great, thanks.
Good. Miss Digans, good morning and thank you
Morning.
so much for joining the program this morning. I don't even know where to start because everything you're saying, I'm just sitting here and I'm like goosebumps is just all over my skin. You made a point very, very early in the program that says that, when you're growing up, especially when you're growing up with your grandparents, you do something and they tell you, oh, you'll never turn out to be anything good.
Mm.
And you cannot do anything and you cannot do this, your cousin is better than you. And so I think most of us that grew up in the Caribbean go through that. It can really break your spirit, break your moral, or it can gaslight you to be something else and say to them, I am going to show you
Mhm.
what I can do and when I get it. And I'm talking about me that gaslighted me. I became a rebel, to be quite honest. And I said, I'm going to show you what you keep telling me that I cannot do this and I won't be able to do that. And you talk about the cooking again. I never used to cook because, sometimes you watch your grandmother cooking and you're pretending that you don't know what you're doing and stuff like that. But if you take a chance and you go cook and it didn't turn out, they might throw the pot of food at you.
Mm.
And I've seen it happen. So all of the things that you're talking about this morning, it is really touching and I'm sure it's touching on a lot of chords in a lot of us that grew up in those eras. And even though the parents today that are, telling the children all these things. I think they ought to learn to educate themselves and take education from other people because we didn't like it ourselves when it was happening to us.
Precisely.
You shouldn't put your children through that. Like when I was growing up, my grandmother used to beat me up all the time because I told her I became a rebel.
Mhm.
And I have my children, I'm saying to them, I would never, ever, ever treat my children the way that I was treated because I didn't like it. I didn't like how I felt.
Exactly.
So I'm not going to do that. And it's not, licks doesn't make children better. Sometimes the thing that you take away from them has no more impact
Yes.
than you beating them up.
Oh, yes.
So I cannot tell you thank you enough
Oh, you must.
for stepping in for us this morning and doing that. I'll continue to listen. Thank you so very
You're
much.
very welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, so let us go to point number two,
Mhm.
comparing them to others. And this one is a big one.
Yes, it is.
Making comments like, look at your cousin. Why can't you be like her? These words may sound innocent, but they crush self worth. Every child is unique. Comparison tells your child they are not good enough, planting seeds of insecurity.
Very much so.
Comparing a child to their siblings, to their peers, or other children can be damaging to their self esteem. When parents constantly compare their child to others, they send the message that the child is not good enough. This can lead to feelings of inadequacy and low self worth.
Very much so. And we have to recognize that even though we have many children, we may have two children, three, some families have as much as eight. Um, every child is unique. Right. Every child is unique. Every child is different. Every child has their own innate abilities. You know, you might have one that is very spunky. You may have one that is very shy. And I think as parents, what we have to do is to identify and reaffirm those positive things in each child that makes him or her who he or she is. Right. And you praise that, and you ensure that you create the environment and the space for these things to be developed, for there to be growth, right, for there to be nurturing. And every child is going to walk a particular path. I remember my sister, my last sister, very, very early, because most parents, when you have your children growing up, you expect them to walk a particular path. There's this mold that is in,
Especially when you have one that will excel.
oh yes. There is no room for you to do any less. You either do the same or you have to do better. And that is an additional pressure that you place on a child too. Because sometimes your first child might be inclined in that particular department, but your second child may not. And so it's being able to appreciate that and appreciate the differences. And I remember somebody saying to me recently, you are not the same parent to every child. Because sometimes what your first child needs, your second child does not.
Right.
So the way you may parent your first child, it might be vastly different. And somebody on the outside may be looking and saying, but she didn't treat them, she was treating them different. So,
Right.
but that is not, it's not treating them different. It's giving your child what he or she needs. And I remember going back to the example that I was given about my sister very, very early. Um, my sister, I think, got here when children were no longer staying silent. When mommy says something to me and I'm responding. And mind you,
Right.
that was a big no-no too, because sometimes we see children as being miniature versions of us.
Yeah.
They haven't reached that level yet where what they have to say matters. And we have to stop that, because there are many children in the world who are so intelligent and so smart and so innovative that they're creating programs, and they starting movements that even adults are not even thinking about doing.
Yeah.
So we have to appreciate and value what they bring to the table. And so growing up, you knew that whatever your parents said, that was gospel.
Right.
You couldn't speak up, you couldn't question it, you couldn't dare
Yeah.
defer from it. You had to follow. And so I think my sister and I conformed to that, because you knew nothing else. And if you tried to, you know the type of parents you have. And my little sister was the one who came into the mix and start, as
Like
the caller said,
rebellion.
rebellion is a strong word to use, but she was a little more vocal in that I will not do it that way. And I remember,
My way.
distinctly, somebody made a comment home and said to her, "You are not like your sisters." And she's like, "Don't compare me.
Mm.
Do not compare me." She says, "I'm different. I will never be like my sisters. I don't want to be like my sisters. I'm my own person."
Right.
And when you have that happening in your home, and when there is a home that is used to conformity, then there is an upset.
Right.
There's some
Yeah.
sort of upheaval. And so we became the mediators between my sister and my mom,
Right.
because being where we were, we understood where my parents were coming from. And we also understood where my sister was coming from.
She has a top of the ear.
Exactly. So in
Right.
a lot of instances, we had to become the mediator to say to my mother, you know what? Okay, you may not necessarily want my sister to go there, but what if we go as chaperones?
Right.
Right? You may not want my sister to do this, but why not give her the chance and see? And I think that in itself helped, because we are very different from our sister. Our sister is very vocal. She got involved in acting. She got involved in public speaking.
Right.
When she traveled and she studied, she was the one who singing calypso and taking part in.
Right.
My sister and I would never do that in a million years. But growing up, she had that confidence in
That's right.
herself and that confidence in her ability. And I think we being the mediators helped her to kind of harness that, to go out and to explore and to use her talents the way she felt that she could have used it. And I think that is what we need more and more. We need to stop comparing and recognize that our children are very, very different. When you do that, like the caller said, it can do one of two things. It can push you to prove to people that you're
Right.
better than, or
Yes.
it can break you, and you can tell yourself, okay, well, that's what they think about me.
Right. So
All right,
that's it
well,
for it.
it is, the self-fulfilling
Yeah.
prophecy. That's how you see me. Well, that's what I will become.
Right. And then on that same point, you just do the bare minimum.
Oh yeah,
So you don't push extra.
nothing
That's what they
extra.
expect from me. So that's what I'm gonna do, and that is it. So
Nothing
nothing extra.
Just to give an example, this morning, I had a student um who is repeating a form, and during the course of the vacation, something kept telling me, you need to speak to that child. And it goes back to the statement I made again about speaking life into children. And I saw her yesterday, and I went up to her and I said, I'm getting the impression that you do not like me and that you believe that I do not like you.
Right.
And I said to her, I love all my students, but I am angry with you because I believe that you are not giving me your best.
Right.
I said, I see your potential, I see what you can do, and you are not working to the level that you ought to be working at. And I said, I'm going to keep my eye on you, and I'm challenging you this year to pull out of you what I know is within you,
Right.
so that we do not have to repeat for another year. And these are not things that come easily, but it comes from giving back what you never got,
Right.
what you wanted to
Yeah.
hear at that particular
That
point in time.
Yeah, and you made a very important point when you speak about telling a child that you see that child. Because some children just need the extra attention,
Oh yes.
just the extra encouragement.
Oh, yes.
Sometimes that child, as you say, that child fail,
Mhm.
and for the whole holiday, that child just hearing that same thing. You fail and you fail and
Yeah.
you fail and you
Yeah.
fail,
Mhm.
and sometimes just that simple thing you said, that you saw that child, could be an encouragement to say, well, somebody's looking out for me.
Yeah.
Or somebody looking at me.
I really
So,
hope so.
right?
And sometimes if they grow up in large families too, sometimes children get lost.
Right.
Because sometimes those who are very, very vocal, they're the ones that are seen and those that are heard.
They're even seen as rude.
Precisely.
Right? They're
Mhm.
seen as rude.
Yes.
Sometimes how they express themselves,
Yes.
they come across as rude.
Very much so.
When they just want to be heard.
Mhm.
Let me look at my comments. Good morning to Lorna Bean. She's saying good morning to my guest.
Oh, good morning.
Family.
Good morning.
Chance the Gamer in Toronto. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Okay. So our next point is overprotection. Parents who never allow their children to try, fail, and learn on their own unknowingly raise fearful adults. Shielding them from every risk whispers you can't handle life on your own. Confidence grows when children are trusted with responsibilities. When parents do everything for their child, they may unknowingly send a message that the child is not capable of tackling tasks independently.
Very much so. And I think sometimes we think that children don't want to do, but just think back, pay attention to something that or some opportunity that you gave your child, and your child lights up. And I don't see it as work. I going back to the cooking again because I had this experience of a little friend that I had with over to in at my apartment, and anytime I get up to prepare something, she comes and she says, Auntie, what can I do? Like, I want to help.
Yes.
And sometimes we say to them, no, I don't want you to do this. I don't and sometimes it's not it's a means of protecting because of course, like you said, overprotection. Like,
Yeah.
okay, you may not necessarily want them near to the stove because you're afraid that they're going to burn themselves. And of course, as they get older, you expose them to a little more. But who says that the child cannot help with, for example, grating the cheese?
Right. Yes.
You may not necessarily want them to use a knife, but they could wash the vegetables.
Right.
Those little things go a long way. And if we don't give our children chances, and I believe in protection because there are a lot of terrible people out there who can take advantage of our children if we're not careful. But there is guided protection, if you want to look at it like that, so that we expose them to different things, but we ensure that we are offering that kind of guidance, and we are ensuring that they're safe and they're able to do whatever it is that they want to do to excel. So your child may want to join dancing. You understand? And we don't. I don't want you out there. Or my child might want to learn to play pan.
Right.
Oh no, you can't play that. Look at when pan was up.
Yes.
Precisely. And
Right.
so the gifts that our children have,
Mm-hmm.
you
Might be
know,
amazed.
Pastor King said it yesterday, the deposits that God has made in their lives, it never comes out because they're never given the opportunity to develop that particular gift that is just a
Right.
part of them.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, we have to be protective, but it cannot be to the point that our children lose confidence in themselves and, like you said, fearful of taking risk, and
Yeah.
fearful of taking chances and
Right.
trying things that
Mm-hmm.
are unknown,
Right.
trying things that are new,
Yes.
because we're not training them to remain children.
And
We
the
are
thing about it
molding them
is
to become adults.
what the risk and the risk they might take is the risk that we don't even want them to even
Exactly.
take about.
And the thing about it is that the reality is, if children are so sheltered and so overprotected, that sometimes when we give them that one opportunity, they take a chance that messes up their lives.
Everything. Yeah.
So you don't have to let go, like we see many parents doing, where there are no restrictions.
Right.
And that is the thing that sometimes hurt me a bit. That while I'm happy that more parents are aware and they're giving their children opportunities, but we're not giving opportunities with restrictions. And so we have children doing things that are, no doubt about it, adults.
Right.
We have children going to places that children are not supposed to go to.
Together with adults.
Exactly, because even though we want them to know and we want them to be aware and we want them to grow up with that level of confidence, it's all about increments.
Right.
What we do, the little we give, the little we relinquish little by little by little.
Right.
You can't let go now because they're still in the formative stage,
Yes.
where they
Yes,
need
guide-
that kind of guidance.
Yeah.
But it's always good to protect, but not overprotect. Leave room for them to blossom and for them to develop.
Let's see one of your points.
Oh, one of the things that I was speaking to my sister last night, and one of the things that she reminded me of is the importance of creating a safe space for our children. A no judgment zone. When children know that they would not be overly criticized or ridiculed,
Mm-hmm.
they are more likely to speak up and share their thoughts and share their feelings. And this particular practice builds communication skills, it builds self awareness, and a belief in that what they say, it really, really matters. So that safe space,
Mm-hmm.
your children being comfortable and confident enough to come home and to express their views and to share openly what it is that they would have experienced. And we provide that opportunity to dialogue.
Right.
And not, I don't have time for you now. I can't take what you have. And when we look at it, it transmits into their school lives.
Yeah.
Because looking at English language in particular, one of the profiles is expression.
Right.
And many of our children cannot express themselves. And that starts at home. I look at children who are 4 and 5 in places like, for example, the United States, and they're so eloquent. They can hold such a good conversation.
Yeah.
And I don't when I speak to children, I don't like to talk to them as though they don't understand, or they cannot understand. I speak to them like they're human beings like everybody else. And so that space where our children feel that they can come, they can cry, they can share some of the things that they're hearing, some of the values that may not be aligned with your values, so that you can guide.
Right.
But if that space is not created, then most of the persons that they listen to are persons who cannot guide them. They're
That's
friends.
true. Yeah.
They're friends. So that creation of a safe space is really, really, really important. And additionally, they need to grow up in a supportive environment. When that happens, our children feel that they can try new things, even if they fail.
Right. Yeah.
They can learn that mistakes are a part of growth. And we spoke about all of these things already, which builds resilience and confidence in their ability to improve. And we always have to get our children to realize that you may not get it now, but you can improve.
Yes, you can.
The most intelligent child will meet somebody who is even more intelligent.
Yeah.
And sometimes we tell our children, I want you to beat that person in your class.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we have to tell our children, I want you to beat your best. I know that this is not what you can give.
Yes.
I know that you can give more than what you're giving. So give mommy more. Give mommy more. Okay, we got 75 now,
Right.
but give more. And I know somebody may be saying, Mr. Gans, that's the ideal, and parents have to deal with so much pressure and they have to, but it's our responsibility. Yeah. And at the end of the day, a child never asked to be here. That's a decision that we make. Right. And I think sometimes we have to recognize that when we make that particular decision, life for us is not the same. It doesn't mean that your own dreams have to stop. Yeah. But sometimes they have to be placed on pause because you have somebody in your life who needs your attention. Right. And who needs your love and who needs your support. Because I keep saying, children don't get up and become criminals. Children don't get up and become deviant. These are behaviors that are not checked over a period of time. True. And if you allow it to continue, that is what may be some of the results. Unless somebody intervenes somewhere along the line and shifts things back. Mhm. So, we have another call. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, it's me again. You know, Miss Nigan just said something about children that's abroad, and you listen to them speak, and you listen to how they have conversations. And that kind of hit me because, in the Caribbean, I don't know if it's changing now. It's changing because we have the tablet children that listen and looks at different programs and they speak. I said, I'm your daughter, Roya. My friend has a little
She speaks like a
nephew,
foreigner.
and he speaks, and you think, well, what kind of twang is it going to be like? You got to cook it, ain't it? So it's and it's because a lot of parents these days are speaking to their children as adults. Yeah. They cut out this Google Gaga children thing, oh, my this, my little pumpkin, and you go still call the child pumpkin, honey pumpkin. But speak to the child because the child can understand. Before they even leave the womb and come out on planet Earth, and your parents reading to them and they listen to music, they know what time it is. So when they come out from there and you speak to them properly, you will have that sort of conversations. And when we in the Caribbean hear children like that speak, we say they are rude, they are not rude. They are using what they have, what they were taught, how they go around it and speak to you so you can understand. But we growing up and we didn't go through that era, we always feel, oh, that child is so rude that, and I say they're not rude. They're expressing themselves. You can tell a child that is rude and a child that is expressing himself. Rude children kick their parents when they speak to them. They slap them, they use obscenism. A child that is expressing himself fluently, you got to say congratulations. I wish I was doing that at the age that I was then.
Yes. And
Gone again.
And I always say it's not before you run off. I said sometimes it's not. I always tell my children, I want to hear what you have to say, but you have to watch your tone. Right. Yes, yes. And I always say that to them. Yeah. Tone plays a huge part. So I always say, I want to hear you. I want to hear you, but you have to be mindful of who you're speaking to. So just watch that when you're speaking. But speak up because I want to hear. I want to hear what it is that you have to say. So when parents fail to provide emotional support, validation, and attention, children may internalize the belief that they are not important or worthy of love. Very much so. And yeah, sorry, but that's a huge one. Yes. So this lack of emotional connection can significantly impact the self-esteem and overall well-being. And also, don't forget about micro neglect. And this is a term used to describe when a parent pays half-ass attention to the child or children. For example, the parent shows with their body language or words that they are not interested in what the child is saying. Yeah. Or the parent intentionally withholds affection from the child because they were bad. Sometimes micro neglect comes out when a parent ignores a child because they are too busy with work or other adult obligations. I would start with that one, the micro neglect. I always say to parents, and I said it earlier in the program, that I know what some of our parents are dealing with on a daily basis in terms of their schedule, and some people are really trying their very best. Yeah. But we cannot get away from acknowledging that raising our children is just as important as every other thing that we're going through. And I always say it's something that may seem um, foreign in the Caribbean, Take your children on dates.
Yes.
Even if you cannot give them that quality time, maybe in the evenings when you come from work, but it has to be a day in the week where you put things aside and you say, I'm spending that hour or the 2 hours with you. Mm. Our children need to know that they will loved. And simple things like a hug, yeah, makes a huge
Or
difference.
how was your day?
Or how was your day? Or even when you're in the kitchen and you're doing something, you may call them and say, come. And it doesn't have to be something where you necessarily want them to help you, but say, come, let's chat. What happened today?
Yeah.
Well, give me the scoop on the day.
Right.
You have to try and find ways to incorporate it in everything else that you're doing.
Right.
Because yes, you have your responsibilities as well outside of parenting. But it is important that we set aside time, make date time for your children. So, and try to do it as often as you possibly can. And let a child should not learn or experience a restaurant when they become an adult.
Right.
A child should not experience a day on the beach when it's just
Family time.
yeah, you have to create, and that is where you need to learn your children so you know what their unique interests are.
Yeah.
So if your child's interest may be going to the beach, then that's your date for that one child. But your other child may like food.
Yeah.
So you take the bus and you bring your child to
That's very
umbrellas and you all sit down and you all eat
yeah.
and you all use the opportunities to talk.
Yes.
Right? And you're the adult, so you have to initiate. Even if your child maybe very quiet, you're the one that has to talk. And maybe you have a child who's creative, but the child doesn't express him or herself openly. But while the child may be engaged, you can so go to umbrellas and go with a coloring book. So while the child is painting or while the child is drawing or coloring, then you can engage them in conversation.
Oh, right now we have all the sip and chat.
Oh yeah, and beautiful
Oh,
things
yeah.
that affords us time with our children where we get opportunities to really understand them and to learn them. And the years go by pretty quickly. Like I look at children that come in Form 1. They come in for at the Form 1 level, and they before you blink, they're in Form 5.
Yes. And where the time go?
Where has the time gone? And that's the portion in their lives where they need us the most. That's where we shape them.
You're right. Yes.
That's where we teach them how to believe in themselves and to have good self-esteem and to have confidence in their abilities and the fact that even though they may fail, they could pick themselves up, they could go again. Life is about challenges, but we can overcome every challenge and we can still continue to become the best versions of ourselves. So we have to be careful that we don't micro neglect, and our children need our emotional support. It makes all of the difference. The parent, the parents who parented us never said things like "I love you."
Right, and that's something that is hard to say. Something
Hard
for a lot of
people because they never grew up with it. And I even have some friends who wouldn't dare hug.
That was something. It took a long time for me
To do. Yeah, because you never grew up with it. And the only time that I started doing that, and I guess it goes back to the individual again, is because the secondary school that I went to, I was exposed to families
Right.
that were very different from my family, and they were doing things that I wanted to see happen in my family.
And you might want it to happen, and it's like you go home and you bring it home, and it's like you just get aside.
Yeah, but I was a determined child. I was sensitive, but I was determined. So I was the one who started saying, "Mommy, I love you." And you could see the level of discomfort in the beginning. But then eventually she would come around and she would say, "I love you too." And it wasn't, and then I extended it to my aunts and my family members and saying it on a daily basis. I laugh now because even my sister, when I tell my sister the hugs that they give is like I get a tap with a finger on my back. you know. The chest is not even meeting, even feeling that warm embrace. And I'm a hugger because I know how important a hug is and how much a hug can uplift your spirits. So those kind of simple gestures, when we consider them to be simple,
Yeah, but
it goes a long way. It goes a very, very long way.
So some parents shows love only when a child succeeds.
Mm-mm.
But children must be loved
Every day.
unconditionally.
Yes.
Love that is earned destroys confidence.
Mhm.
Love that is given builds it.
Yes.
So we must As parents, we must refrain from withholding love. Mhm. Another point is lack of encouragement. When children do something well, be it a drawing, as we were speaking about earlier, a school recital, or helping with chores, they crave affirmation. Yes. Silence at such moments can be damaging, just as negative words. Very much so. Encouragement is the fuel that powers self esteem. And many children do not know how to take loss anymore. No. Due to society giving everyone a prize. Yes. And not allowing the child to experience defeat. And this is called the everyone gets a ribbon problem.
Yes. I know you spoke about, encouragement, and encouragement doesn't necessarily have to be verbal encouragement. Um, we need to show up for our children.
Right.
And that speaks volumes. So your child, as you said, may have a recital, or your child may be good in football. And the child don't have to be good. The child playing on the team.
Right.
The child is playing football. You make it your duty to show up for those games.
Right.
Your child
Not
may be
every
running,
game,
not every game, but as much as you can.
Right.
Your child may be running one particular race in sports. You show up, even if it means doing a t-shirt, because we like t-shirts these days that say,
Right.
go Jane or go Jack, I'm proud of you.
Right.
Or coming up with your placards. All of these things help our children to develop like, hey, what? Mommy actually here. Mommy believe in me. And I have seen children when their parents show up, they run on.
That's my mother. It's showing up
The extra energy that they find, and you want them to wait. No, that child didn't run that way in that first race, but just your presence,
Right.
and the fact that you show up to support, that is encouragement.
Right.
That is you telling your child, I believe in you.
Yes, I'm
I
here.
believe that you can do it. I am here. I'm
Yes.
supporting you. I see you. Keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, as I was saying about silence, your child made an effort.
Yes.
And you just, well, you didn't win, so, or you didn't excel. So there's a business. You didn't do anything for encouragement.
Exactly.
And sometimes simple things. The child might do something. You reward the child. You don't have to wait until the child
Precisely
excel or the child over excel to say, you know what, let me bring you out. Let me
Yes.
treat you.
Yes.
You do it occasionally.
And it doesn't have to be because, like you said, it doesn't have because the child did something. And love is not something that should be conditional. It should not be something that is a bargaining chip.
Right.
So I am going to
Love
love
today
you,
and
and I'm going to show you affection.
today.
And I've always said, you have to love because you have to love. You have to give love to your children. You may not necessarily like your child on a particular day because of what he or she does.
Right.
But love is something that ought not to be taken away at any point in time, or to be used as something that you withhold from your child because you want your child to behave in
Or
a
use it as
particular,
punishment.
or use it as punishment. So you
Right.
don't do what you're supposed to do, so you're not getting what you're supposed to get. Regardless of what your child may do, it's addressing the issue, and that is another thing too. Sometimes when we correct our children, we correct the being and not the issue.
Right.
And that is something that we remind persons of, and parents sometimes they don't let go. They don't leave what the child would have done in the past. They carry it with them. I don't forget you. And they're the same when they grow up and they used to bang up licks.
Yeah.
So they're waiting. You think I forget you?
Yeah.
You think I forgot you? I know what you did.
So long.
Exactly. I know what you did. I know what I had it for you. Long I had it for you.
Yes.
And sometimes the little thing that you're doing today that does not require the punishment that you're receiving.
You're getting everything.
You're getting everything. You're getting everything at one time. And so we have to be very, very, very mindful of those kind. Love is something that just should be given freely in our homes. And when children are loved unconditionally, they know that no matter how terrible the world is outside there, I'm going home because I know where I'm going.
Yes.
I'm good.
I'm
I'm taken care of.
Yes.
All right. And homes have to return to being safe
Right.
spaces
That's a big
where
thing.
children don't want to run from them, but they want to run to them when things become difficult out there.
So, and also this point here, where children don't know how to take losses.
Yeah.
And society expects you. It's like, so children don't know how to take losses because society have a way of saying, you do this, so you're gonna get that.
Yeah.
Even in schools right now, and I've experienced it with my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Right, she plays in grade one.
Mm-hmm.
She plays fourth.
Mm-hmm.
Right, the time she plays fourth, they have trophies for the person that came first, second, and third. Right,
Mm-hmm.
she didn't. She got a certificate.
Okay.
She was grateful for the certificate.
Right.
Right. In grade two, she placed second. I believe that there was an expectation from her looking
That she
forward
would get.
a trophy because
Yeah.
she placed second
Right.
in grade two.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they give you expectation that you're supposed to look forward to certain things
Certain things once you perform.
once you perform, and if you
Yeah.
don't get it, that could cause
Yeah.
a big breakdown.
It can. It can. And so I guess it's teaching our children that doing well doesn't necessarily mean that you will have to get a
You
reward
expect something,
all the time.
right?
Doing well is something that I expect from you, but it doesn't mean that um mommy is going to give you a prize all the time because you do well. Doing well is part of your responsibility because
Yeah.
mommy believes in you.
Mhm.
And sometimes the child may not even understand that maybe that's the initiative of the grade one and that's not the initiative of the grade two.
Yeah.
So there's this always and not only that too, but it is important, and it goes back to not just losses but failure too, because we know it. We've had persons who have gone to universities and so forth, and maybe because of the pressure and the expectation that the parents have as to how they ought to perform. And for them, they may not perform at the level that they want to perform. And we have persons who have taken their lives as a result
Right.
of that.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
Persons go so far as to kill themselves because they believe that what they did was far less than what is expected of them, and maybe the kind of things that were said to them, that if you do not, and you have to
Yeah.
you have to do this, and you my son, and if you
Mhm.
don't perform at this level,
Right.
how could I hold my head in public? We put those extra pressures
Pressure,
on
yeah.
our children, and so when they lose, it's like the world is about
Yeah.
to end,
Mhm.
not
They're not expected
recognizing
to lose.
that there are
Parents put that in the children's head that you're not supposed to settle for less. You're not supposed to.
yeah, and it's not that
It's not that you're supposed to.
you're not supposed to, but it's being able to let your child recognize that even when you mess up, there is room to
Improvement.
there's room to improve. It doesn't mean that everything stops. Doesn't mean that the world ends. I give in a typical example. I'm very particular about my clothes getting dirty all the time. It might be a little weird, but it's just that typical example. And I was sharing that with one of my loved ones last evening. And I got up the morning, I was well dressed for work, and then I decided to do a little foundation and not in my clothes. And I swear, like the world was ending because I'm so self-conscious about my clothes. It's like,
Right.
how I don't want to go out in public like that. And then no, there I was battling. Do I change my clothes entirely? It meant I had to go and iron again, and it meant finding something else to wear. And who the persons who were waiting on me would be late. And
Right.
so then I had to stop and say, okay, Caris, the problem is not as great as you're making it. There must be a solution. And when I was doing my reflection last night, and I think it's something that we have to get our children to recognize that sometimes, even when things are horrible, you have to walk through the horrible
Yeah.
or the messes. Because sometimes, in walking through the messes along the path, you find solution to the problem. And when I got to work and I was talking with my coworkers and one who is doing science, and I said, well, look, I tried the liquid soap and it's still dirty. And she said, well, you didn't go. We said, we were talking, and we said, you didn't go on Google. And Google's first answer was soap and water. And then she said, probably you tried the wrong soap. So I did. I used Breeze this time. Well, we say Breeze for everything. It's soap powder. Can't remember the brand. And then I used it, and it took it off. And I was like, look at how that could have derailed your entire day. And I think it's the same thing with our children, that when they encounter those kind of losses or those kind of interruptions in how they think their lives are supposed to play out because we as parents, we tell them that their lives are supposed to play out in that way. And another dangerous thing that we do, we want our children, we plan their
Yes,
lives.
they plan their life.
We want our children to do this, and we want our children to become that. And it's
Yes.
nothing else and nothing less than that. But our children have their own abilities that are far different from ours.
And then the thing is, a lot of parents try to live their life to their children.
Oh, God.
Things what they couldn't do,
That's what they want to do
so
now.
they pattern the children.
Yes.
I didn't get to do that, so
Yes.
you get the opportunity, so you're doing it for me and you're doing it for you.
And I could understand, because for me, I would want, if I'm blessed one day with a child, I would want my child to have some of the opportunities that I never had.
Right, yeah.
And that is okay. I think the problem comes about where the child's voice is lost.
Right.
And the child's opinion and what it is that the child wants to do is not even considered. It's like there is no room for discussion.
Right.
We're not talking about that. You want to go and do plumbing. You're crazy. You can't become a plumber. But these are the jobs that have
Money, a lot.
money. You understand? They make twice and three times more than we do.
Yes.
And they're plumbers who are qualified and they have their certificates and they continue to improve themselves and their skills. So I think it's just a matter of opening that door for discussion.
Right.
And saying to your children, okay, what is it that you consider? But look at it and let's look at it realistically. And if that is the kind of life that you want to live, maybe that may not necessarily be the path. Can we explore other options? But when you simply say to a child, no, that's it. You cannot be that. You cannot become that. Not in my house. You got to find somewhere else to live. I think that is where we start having those kind of issues.
But as you know, my area in Wantum, everybody will be fisherman.
Yes.
So, Rachel want to go along that path. He have the experience, things that I even, of course, know about. And I was saying to him, I say, you could do that.
Of course.
You could be a fisherman, you could be the best fisherman.
Yes.
But you have to be able to count your money,
Yes.
balance your books,
Yes.
so that nobody will take advantage of you when the time comes. So there's a time and a place for everything. You follow a pattern.
Exactly. And who says being a fisherman simply means that you go out and fish? Why not being the owner of your vessel so you send people out to fish? And look, I love PT Matic. I always say, like, if I have to go and live anywhere and retire and live anywhere, because I like quiet spaces, I would go to PT Matic. And I'm always amazed at the quality of homes in PT Matic. And if you track back, many of these persons are fishermen.
Yeah.
But they're not just mere fishermen. They
learn how to build boats.
They learn how to build
fish,
boats,
fix the engines,
all of these things. And then you have to learn navigation. And these are things that you learn through school. And what I would wish that our communities do not do is encourage children to leave school
and
to
go
do
on
that.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Because when children get that, we might be deviating a bit, but it's true. Because the community raises children as well. When they do that and they have the monies in front of them, and like you correctly said, they don't learn money management, they don't learn budget. And mind you, the children are not paying bills.
Right.
So the $400 is a $400. But when they become adults and they have their own homes, that $400 have to go to Flow, have to go to Grand Lake, has to go to Nawasa, has to go to the grocery store. It is no longer, it doesn't have the same value.
Yeah.
So we have to get them to recognize, like you said, the time now is for you to build that foundation where you will learn your POB, so you learn how to manage your own business. Right? You could have your fishing company and you have persons that you employ. So we have to, yes, nothing is wrong with that, but we have to stop letting our children limit themselves and seeing it as only that I can just throw a net.
Then
There's
fishing is
much more.
seasonal.
Exactly. And what happens next? What happens next? So all of these things they need to be aware of, and we need to let them, we need to tune them into the reality of things, and not because they might be cheap labor, so you encourage them to leave because you want them to work on your boat. No, we have to think about what happens to them is in the long run.
Somebody is saying love cannot or shouldn't be on or off.
No, at all.
Yeah.
At all.
Let's see. Here's one.
I think most of what we shared, yes.
So excessive punishment. Discipline is necessary, but punishment without explanation breeds fear. A child who grows up afraid of their parents may obey on the outside but feels worthless on the inside. Discipline should correct and not crush.
Hmm.
Another point we have is ignoring their voice. And we spoke about it a bit
Yeah,
earlier.
yeah.
When a child speaks and you wave them off,
Hmm.
keep quiet. What you want to know?
Mm-hmm.
Or what do you know? You teach them the opinions doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And soon they will stop talking,
Mm-hmm.
even when the input could make a difference in their future.
And we see that happening a lot in schools. You know, there are children who would sit in the class and they just will not share.
Mm-hmm.
They will not share, they will not contribute. You might call on them, and that's the only time they will respond. But they would never take the initiative to contribute to anything.
And it could be simple, simply
Mhm.
because of a prior
Yeah,
uh,
prior experience that they would have had.
Yes.
And like I said, parents and guardians and family members, you are the ones who know them intimately. So your perception of them carries a lot of weight.
Mm-hmm.
So if the people who are supposed to love me are telling me that I'm not good, who are you? You trying to tell me differently? But this is what I'm hearing in my home every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And so it takes a lot of repetition and a lot of speaking and to get to that stage where you can push that child.
Yeah.
So that is why it's so important that it starts at home.
Yes.
Starts at home.
We even spoke about this one, making all the decisions for a child
Yeah.
can undermine their sense of anatomy
Yes.
and make them feel like their opinion and choices does not matter.
You know, I was struggling with that. I struggled with that a bit because I sometimes believe like at a particular age, I may be sounding contradictory now. You know, you kind of um I remember having that discussion like how do you allow your children to choose what they want to wear?
Mhm.
And you know, I kind of worked it out in my head. And of course, it starts with you ensuring that what you buy for your children
Is what
is
they
what
wear.
they would wear,
Yes.
right? So it starts there, but it's also sometimes putting out more than one option that you know you will be fine with.
Mhm. Yes.
So that the child eventually believes, well, that's my choice. But
Yeah.
of course, you know, you give them what you,
Yes. What you
whichever
want.
one they pick. And so those little small things getting
Yeah.
them to realize that, okay, all right, mommy, I can do this by myself. Mommy's allowing me to choose this
Yes.
and
Make
mommy's
choices.
to
Yes.
make choices.
Yeah. Mm. Because normally a parent nowadays a parent will send a child go and put on a clothes and when the child put on a clothes and come up tell you put
Yeah.
tell you put on.
But that's what they have.
Change it.
That's what you have provided for them. It's your monies that are buying it. So
Right.
so if you want to ensure that whatever choice they make is going to be good, then ensure that the product is
It's
good.
good.
So when they
Right.
pick, you have no problem.
Right.
You have no problem.
Another point is public shaming.
Wow. Hmm.
Scolding a child in front of others,
Mhm.
neighbors, siblings, or classmates may correct behavior, but it destroys and it damages dignity.
It does.
Shame makes children want to disappear instead of grow.
Yeah. And I think we do it unconsciously because I think sometimes we want to please people.
Right.
And I remember someone saying profoundly, she said, she will never correct her children in front of someone who would have brought a complaint on them. She says because her correcting her child is a private matter. And so sometimes we still in that mentality of
Way happened there we
yes, you know, you heard that growing up.
yes, way
When you
happened.
make me look bad, it's way I'm dealing with you.
Yes.
And yes, we may please the public, but what happens to the child?
Mhm.
Because you may be saying too, you may be, and that's the thinking in the back of our head. You don't want the neighbor to go with the perception that
You
I
can't
can't
train a
control my
child.
child.
Yes.
You know, I can't train my child. My child doesn't have respect for me, and look how my child treated me.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, you may be pleasing that particular individual, but like you correctly said, that child's confidence is destroyed.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing that I say, like when schools have issues, I would prefer we wash our dirty laundry behind closed doors. And I think it's the same thing with your children, that
Yeah.
whatever issues you have, with your child, even if someone brings a complaint to you, you thank them for it and you go behind closed doors
Right.
and hear what the child has to say. And there's some persons who do not get the entire story. They may see a version of it,
Yes, and then
and
go
that
with
is
it.
what they bring.
Yes.
And sometimes our parents don't stop to hear.
Mhm.
I've had students complain all the time and say, Miss, mommy complain, but mommy don't let me talk. Mommy don't let me
Right.
say what it is that happened.
Yes.
She believe her friend, she believe the neighbor, and she don't give me a chance to say,
Right.
to give my side of the story. And sometimes it's important.
To hear.
And through the conversation, you might recognize there are some areas that
Yeah.
they're a bit muddy,
Mm.
but giving that child the opportunity to speak and children knowing that their parents are able to protect and defend their name. And that's another thing that we have to be cautious about too. It's not
How?
just shaming, but it's taking our children flaws and sharing it
Yeah.
in
For
public
everybody.
for
Yes.
everybody to
Mhm.
be aware.
Yeah.
For everybody to be aware. And mind you, this has nothing to do with correcting behavior because that can be done effectively behind closed doors.
Yes.
Because a lot of them too may try to correct their children in public and they're shamed, they're embarrassed
Yes.
because the child would say
embarrassed.
to you, "What
Yeah.
you trying?"
Yes.
And I've seen that already
Yes. That's true.
because we're not consistent in what we do.
Right.
So the child will say, "What are you trying?" Like, and you could see the look of surprise on the child's face because that is not what you do, but you're simply doing it to get some kind of public recognition, some kind of acknowledgement, and for somebody to say, "Okay, she takes care of her children, she deals with them well." But we have to be very careful about the long term effects of
Yeah.
something of that nature.
Mhm.
So we have to correct, and we ought to correct because if we allow bad habits to continue to grow, again, I said it, we are not going to create good citizens for our country.
Yeah.
But we also have to be careful with the method and the means through which
Yes.
we do
Because,
it.
yes. Mhm. Yes. Just for example, a child might be at home. Whatever the child asks for, the child gets.
Hmm.
When the child goes to the streets
Mhm.
or in a store,
Mhm.
and the child, mommy, I want that,
And they don't get
and
it.
they don't get
You
it, and
decide to say no at that particular
that
point
time
in time. Trouble.
that child just
Tantrum.
and then
Yes.
you want to correct that child,
Yes.
and it's like it's a whole embarrassment for you.
Mhm. And that is important too in teaching our children about, confidence too. Our children have to learn
Mhm.
to hear no
Yes.
and recognize too that no is not a bad word.
Right. Yes.
We always believe that when we ask, we should always receive. But
Mhm.
we know from the Bible sometimes God withhold things
Right.
from us that we asking for that He knows
And he wants us to
it's not
wait.
good for us. So he wants us to wait.
Yes.
And I think it's the same thing with our children. Sometimes we
Yes.
have to be able to let them know that no is not a bad
Yeah.
response. That everything that you request, you may not be able to get it.
And then it goes back to giving them that reason why.
Yeah, of course.
Explaining.
Right now, financially, mommy is not able to.
Right.
So you may have to wait.
Right.
Good. And of course, when you make those kind of promises, make sure that you hold yourself accountable. You actually give them a little
Yes.
later.
Mhm.
If it's something that you think that
Is needed.
yes, it's
Yeah.
needed.
Unnecessary.
Yes.
So, as we said, correction is best done privately. This makes the child feel less unimportant. Over time, a child can feel unworthy of an apology.
Hmm.
Parents can invalidate their feelings with comments like, don't worry about it, or there's no reason for you to be upset. But shutting down your child's feelings when it comes in many forms.
Very much so. And as adults, we think that we ought not to apologize.
Apologize, yes.
And I think being able to apologize to a child is one of the best ways you can say to a child, I respect you. And I own up to my mistakes as well. And indirectly, you're teaching a child to own up to his or her mistakes. And I've had to apologize to my students. Sometimes students get you very, very angry, and you
Yeah.
say things that you go home and it's like, nah, you need to go back and fix that.
Yes.
And I've had to go back and say to a child, I had no right to speak to you the way that I spoke to you yesterday. I apologize for that. I was out of line. And I think that allows children to recognize that sometimes parents as adults, we don't always get it.
Right. Yes.
And that's what we think. We think that because we're the grown one.
I'm
We
in
know it
charge.
all. I'm in charge. I know it all. I don't have to. Why have to
Apologize.
Oh, yeah, I apologize. You? Why am I apologizing to you? I'm feeding you, I'm clothing you. I have to.
Right. And there's comments that have been made to
Yes.
children.
I'm feeding you, I'm clothing
Yeah.
you. Why am I supposed to
Yes.
apologize to you? But it's teaching our children
To take
that to
responsibility.
take responsibility and to take accountability
Yes.
for their mistakes as well.
Even invading your child's privacy can be considered a form of dismissing their feelings.
Yeah.
In fact, the most common form of parents shutting down the child's feeling is making the child do things way, all the way, all the time.
All their way.
Yes, the parents' way all the time.
All the time. Yeah. So then you remove that space for individuality.
Yes. Unrealistic expectations.
Mhm.
We briefly spoke about it before.
Mhm.
Demanding perfection,
Mm.
straight A's,
Mm.
first position, or flawless performance pressures children into anxiety.
Yes, and sometimes I wonder, and that is why I said we need to know our children and we need to know our children's abilities from a very young age. And you may have four daughters, and all your daughters may not necessarily become doctors, but you may have a daughter who becomes an excellent social worker. You may have a daughter who becomes an excellent psychologist. You may have a daughter who becomes an excellent business owner.
Yeah.
It's about knowing what your children are capable of. And I've seen it on numerous occasions where a parent will force a child to do a subject and it's not the child's interest, and the child doesn't have the competence to do well in that area.
Right.
No matter how they try, they just cannot make it in that particular area. And sometimes as parents, we don't stop to recognize how much that is actually destroying the child.
Yeah.
And whereas the child could be given other subjects to do and excel and do exceedingly well in that particular area. But because we have this unrealistic expectation, because we want what we want and we're not in tune with our reality, all our children will not become doctors. All our children may not necessarily have those innate abilities to do well, and I say that in quotation marks, academically,
Yes.
but they can do well in other areas.
Yeah.
They can excel in other areas. We have the creative arts.
Right.
Academics is not the only thing that runs the world. We have the creative arts. We have the creative economy that is existing in our country now.
Yes.
You know, where our artists and our painters and our songwriters were they're given that sense of validation and that opportunity. And one of the programs I really liked that was introduced closer to the summer was that Sing program where they went around, tapping into the talents within our schools and allowing our children to come out and to develop that and work with the persons who are making it in those various industries. And so we have to just know our children, direct and guide them along paths that will help them to become happy and contented individual. The saying is that if you love what you do, then it's no longer a job. And then you will feel enthused to get up in the morning and actually go and work on what you have the passion for it.
Yes.
As opposed to I am this, but this is not what I want to be. My parents are the ones who had me here. If not for my parents, I would be doing something else.
Right.
So know that our children may not all have the same abilities. Our children may not all achieve the same things, but our children have the ability to become the best at what they're good at.
Yes. So we need to encourage progress and not perfection.
Yes.
Expectations will cause children to feel constant stress to perform perfectly. And this can lead to a feeling of failure and a diminished sense of self worth. This is true of most expectations, ranging from expecting your child to be heterosexual to viewing your child as an extension of yourself.
Yes.
Even hoping for your child to succeed in ways that you did not could be a slippery slope.
Yeah. Very much so.
We spoke about neglecting quality time, and it's repeated here again. Children equate attention with value. When you're always busy with work phone or TV, they begin to feel unimportant. And confidence grows when children know they matter enough to be listened to and spent time with. Very much. Negative labeling.
Hmm. I was waiting for this one. Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Words like stubborn,
Mhm.
lazy,
Mhm.
stupid
Mhm.
stick longer than you think.
Yes, they do.
And labels shape identity. Over time, children begin to leave out the negative names they are called. Speak life, not curses over your children.
Very much so. And my sister always reminds me of that. She says you have to speak positively about yourself.
Mm.
And as parents, we have to speak positively about our children. It says that you attract, whatever you put out is what you attract. And so if we want good things to follow our children, then that's the things that we have to speak over their lives. And you talk about negative labeling and, growing up with the teasing. We use the word very loosely now, bullying,
Mm.
but sometimes our biggest bullies are in our
Our parents know what?
our biggest bullies are in our homes, and you grow up and being teased about your skin color.
Yes.
And especially if you might be the darker one
Right.
in your family member, or you
Yeah.
black.
Yes.
If your head is, oh, you big, your head big. When you come out with that big head, and
Head big like father head.
you head big like your father head, and move there, you behaving like that old man. That old man I pick up. If I didn't know what I was getting myself into, and
Yeah.
all of these things stick with you.
Yeah.
And then sometimes if we only stop and look at how or why it is that persons are wanting to change their bodies and wanting to
Yeah.
fix a nose and fix a hair and fix a bottom and fix a lip and
Yeah.
fix a nose, all of these things
And it was
sometimes stem from what we are told as children,
right.
growing up with this perception that our head is just too big to be beautiful, your nose too flat, this kind of things. And especially if you double it up with the comparison as we spoke about, where there is somebody else who you don't see your sister nose straight, watch yours. You have a skirt nose.
Or even now with celebrities.
Oh
Because
yes, oh
a lot of
definitely.
modeling celebrities right now.
Definitely. And then we see this need now. It was never so prevalent in the Caribbean, where persons are going and doing plastic surgery to
Yeah.
fix this and to fix that.
Right.
And we have lost that sense of acceptance of
Yeah.
self and
Yeah.
acceptance of who we are and loving ourselves just the way we are. And I say this because I know that one of the things that I struggled with for a very, very long time was my own self-image and my own self-esteem. And always criticizing and never always finding some fault with something within myself, because these were some things that you heard growing up.
Yeah.
You that way and you that way and you this way and you that way. And so as you grow with that, you always keep questioning, are you good enough? Are um you would never be good enough, or you will never be pretty enough, or your skin will always be dark.
Right.
It
Is it that
affects you.
one? That skin
Yes,
one.
and that really, really affects you. It
Yes.
affects your self-image, and it also affects your confidence.
Mm-hmm.
So these are things that we have to be very, very careful about, the labels that we place on our children, the things that we speak over our children's lives.
Yeah. And parents who regularly insult or belittle their child. We have a call. Hello.
Hi.
Right.
Maybe I need to go fix my nose.
Something we said resonates.
It is very, very, very funny that you come up with these things because I think we as parents, and I'm including me because I am a parent, we as parents do not know the mental abuse that we do give to our children when we criticize them as to how flat their noses are, or how their sister one is straight,
Mm-hmm.
who is fair and who is dark. Because I know of people that are dark and their sisters are fair, and they're feeling, why do you think we have so much bleaching agents today with women that are way darker? When you see them, you're like, what the heck is that? because they feel insignificant to their sibling or to somebody that is close to them that has a higher complexion. So they are destroying themselves
Yes.
to become a bit clearer so that mom will like me better or dad is going to like me better. But I always say that if you have love for yourself, no one is going to make you different. And when you start doing this thing like plastic surgery and you fix your nose, it doesn't end there. Because once your nose becomes too straight for your cheek, then you got to work on your cheek. You got to work on your hair. You got to work on your chin. And in the end, you're looking like a cat that is skinned. Your face getting tighter than security. You can even smile when you earn your laugh lines and your face quits that you know you earn that you're living happily. And I think parents have to know from now on. I'm happy that we're doing this topic today because there are a lot of us out there that need to hear these things because we talk to our children as though they are ornaments and they have no feeling, and the thing we say to them is like, oh, I am the parent. I bring you here. So whatever I say, you have to do. We have to stop this because they have feelings too. And when you hurt their feelings mentally, it doesn't just stop there. It continues right through their lives. And this is why we have obesity. We have low self-esteem. We have children with no confidence because of what they were taught and how they were called at a very early age. So I am so happy that your name is Diggins. I cannot say it enough that you're explaining all these things because you are the parent of all the children at St. Mark's Secondary School. Thank you so very much.
You're very welcome.
Oh, let me just finish this point and then we'll take a break because we've been talking forever. Um, it says here, parents who regularly insult or belittle their child may cause them to feel worthless and inadequate. You are so lazy. And that was stupid of you. Critical comments from parents like, you could have tried harder, or you should have done this instead, can also erode a child's self esteem. So the way you speak to your child says a lot,
Does.
right? It grooms them to what you will want to better individuals and to boost their self esteem. So let us take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Sugar's repair services. We Try your needs. Just ask and it will be done. Call us at 473 418.
For more information, contact Noise TV at 929-445-4463. Or you can email us at wenoisetv@gmail.com. We Noise TV, the leading streaming provider. Anytime, anywhere, any screen. Access to your favorite HD content with prices as low as ever. Choose from monthly, quarterly, or yearly payments. This worldwide service is flexible for you to keep up with all your favorite programs, shows, movies, and local programming from home no matter where you travel to. Worldwide TV channels right at your fingertips wherever you are. Latest in live sports, binge watch all your favorite TV shows, movies on demand, videos on demand. You can pause, rewind, fast forward anytime. Never miss 1 minute in entertainment important to you. No contracts, no added prices for sports or premium packages. We certainly don't have to pull tricks like cable and satellite companies. Our product speaks for itself and beyond. We Noise TV. We have everything like Netflix, Disney, Amazon. Watch your favorite movies, TV shows, and series with our services. With our service, you will get rid of all other subscriptions. For more information, contact We Noise TV at 929-445-4463, or you can email us at wenoisetv@gmail.com.
Are you looking for that one local supermarket where you can purchase all your grocery and household items at the same time? Well, look no further. Smart Buy SA Belford and Company Limited, located at the top of the town on Main Street, St. Patrick, is the ideal spot. They're open Sunday to Sunday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Mondays to Fridays, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Saturdays, and 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. on Sundays, just for your convenience. Call them today on 442-9219. That number again, 442-9219. We're shopping snacks at Snack Buy. Welcome to Take 5, your mental health program with CJ and Jester. With CJ and Jester.
Sugar's repair services, we offer digitally calibrated machines, resurfacing engine heads, general machinery. Show us your pattern and we'll make it with precision machines. At Sugar's Repair Services, we satisfy your needs. Just ask and it will be done. Call us at 473 418
For more information, contact WeNoise TV at
Sugar's Repair Services.
929-445-4463, or you can email us at wenoisetv@gmail.com. WeNoise TV, the leading streaming provider. Anytime, anywhere, any screen. Access to your favorite HD content with prices as low as ever. Choose from monthly, quarterly, or yearly payments. This worldwide service is flexible for you to keep up with all your favorite programs, shows, movies, and local programming from home no matter where you travel to. Worldwide TV channels right at your fingertips wherever you are. Latest in live sports, binge watch all your favorite TV shows, movies on demand, videos on demand. You can pause, rewind, fast forward anytime. Never miss 1 minute in entertainment important to you. No contracts, no added prices for sports or premium packages. We certainly don't have to pull tricks like cable and satellite companies. Our product speaks for itself and beyond. We Noise TV. We have everything like Netflix, Disney, Amazon. Watch your favorite movies, TV shows, and series with our services. With our service, you will get rid of all other subscriptions. For more information, contact WeNoise TV at 929-445-4463, or you can email us at wenoisetv@gmail.com.
Are you looking for that one local supermarket where you can purchase all your grocery and household items at the same time? Well, look no further. Smart Buy SA Belford and Company Limited, located at the top of the town on Main Street, St. Patrick, is the ideal spot. They're open Sunday to Sunday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Mondays to Fridays, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Saturdays, and 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. on Sundays, just for your convenience. Call them today on 442-9219. That number again, 442-9219. We're shopping snacks at Snack Buy. Welcome to Take 5, your mental health program with CJ and Jester. With CJ and Jester.
And we are back. We needed a break. Yeah, so much important information, but we needed that break. So, our final point for parents killing their children's confidence is not believing in them.
Hmm.
When parents doubt their children's ability, you can do it. They are planting seeds of failure. Confidence flourishes when a child knows their parents believe in them, even when they struggle.
Yes.
And this sends a message to the child that they are not incapable of doing activities without help. Let me take this again. This sends a message to the child that they are not capable of doing the activity without help. It inadvertently tells kids or children, I really like to use the word kids, children, that I don't believe you can accomplish this task. This makes children feel unimportant to you. They feel unprioritized and not worthy. So when parents in the forefront they tell you, you know what, you can't do that. It just kills you. It kills your dreams.
Yeah. You don't even try when you hear something
That's
like
the
that.
thing. Mommy say, well, you know what, I can't do it, so I can't do it.
Yes.
I'm not even trying. I can't do it, and I just can't do it.
Yes.
So let us now look at some tips to help your child develop self confidence. Help them focus on their positive qualities, not just their flaws. Two, let them try taking risk in small steps. Remind them often not to be hard on themselves.
Too hard. They can become their worst critics, huh? So you have to be very careful with that. Yes.
Encourage them to make friends with people who are good for them.
Yes. Please, I cannot further re-emphasize this point because when our children are not listening to the adults around them, they are listening to their friends. So it's very important that you know who your child is listening to and who your child is being influenced by.
Mhm.
And I will always remind our children that the definition of a friend is not someone who's going to encourage you to do something that will destroy your life. But a friend is somebody who's going to say to you to your face, point blank, hey, what you're doing, I don't like. What you're doing, I don't appreciate it. That's not good for you.
We have a caller. Good morning, caller. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, Roy, and good morning to your guest speaker.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Very appropriate topic today, especially as it's back to school and parents are busy. Yeah, children are busy, teachers are busy, so it's a very appropriate topic. Um, so if you're a parent, especially with more than one child, I think your number one agenda should be always spending some alone time with each child
Mhm.
because this will lay the foundation for a trusting parent-child relationship, and the child will not feel that they're just in a group, you know. Um, and you'll be able to find out the child's passions and the child's desires, and then you'll be able to deal with the child individually.
Yes.
And for me speaking, I grew up in a large family. My mom and dad had 8 girls.
Wow.
So, yes. And I can say that my dad, especially, did a very good job in getting to know us individually and knowing how to deal with us individually. And also, when the parents does that, the other siblings would also get to know the strengths and weaknesses of your. You will know what your sister is strong in.
Yeah.
So for me, I know which sister to call, depend on what topic I am dealing with.
Very much.
So I always say that's a blessing in being in a large family.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. You know who to call when you need help, which one to talk to, and which topic you can go to them. And I also remember a quote that Ma Angelo always says. She says that when a parent enter a room and the children are there, what does the child see on your face? Do they see a smile or a frown? And if every time they see a frown, then that is not going to build their self confidence. But if, despite of whatever you are going through, if you can show them that you're happy to see them, you know, that is what's going to build their self confidence. So let us always show them. I mean, there are times when you have to discipline them appropriately, but when you're seeing them, yes, for the first time you enter in the room, they come from school. What do they see on your face when you greet them? So let us show them the smiles, because this will foster confidence in them. They'll know that they're loved, they'll know that they want, and they will grow up to be confident young men and women. And they will be able to take their place in the world and accomplish whatever they want to accomplish. So have a great day.
Yes.
And very nice topic, and you guys are doing a great job.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So we're going back to the tips. Yes. It says here, encourage effort and resilience. Praise effort over outcomes.
Yes.
Acknowledge your child's hard work and perseverance, even if they don't immediately succeed. Praise character traits. Focus on positive qualities like kindness or bravery, and point out specific instances where your child displayed them. Learn, let them learn from their mistakes. Don't rescue them from disappointment. Instead, let them experience and overcome challenges to build resilience. Encourage new experiences. Try new hobbies, sports, or even exploring nature can help children develop skills and confidence. You got a point?
Yes, I wanted to say one of the things that we can do to build confidence. Sure.
Another call.
Yes.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, hello, good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Hi, good morning, Raya, and good morning, guests. It's nice to see a different face. I want to say good morning to Jester. Good morning to him wherever he is this morning. Good morning to him. All right, so my contribution this morning, I've been listening in. I'm an always listener, but I don't contribute all the time. But I always ask the question, where are the fathers? Where are the male? Where are the men? Take five is basically for everybody.
Yes.
But on behalf of all the daddies out there, I want to say good morning to all the fathers, those who, take the mantle and take the initiative to train their children and to be their confidence, if I should say so. There are some fathers out there who just doesn't know. So I heard mommy, mommy. I heard the word mommy many times this morning. I didn't hear that. Right?
Yeah.
So, on behalf of all the fathers out there who are doing a good job of instilling confidence in their children, especially the boy children, I have observed in my children's secondary school the way the boy children behave, when them boy children behave with the girls. I don't like it. They tug at them, they're talking to them, and you know, they have no confidence in how to speak to the opposite sex at a young age. Yes, and I'm sure there are many boys who probably came into your office because of certain situations.
Okay.
But anyways, so I want to say good morning to all the fathers out there. And Mr. Gans, I don't know if you have ever observed English language and the ability to master the English language, and you look at the children who are well spoken. If you take the time and you look at the background and the homes that these children come from, it is so different to the homes of if, it is children who just, how you call, they speak a dialect, just pure dialect. They even in school, when it comes to English language exam, They write down do, they, that. They don't this write what they speak.
Yes.
And if you look at the background, if you look at the background where they come from, you can see it's a total like night and day in terms of these children who are confident and the children who are not confident in life. They just go through life because of the social surrounding they're in. They say that society teaches our children. Roya said a while ago in one of her last points, she said that encourage your children to socialize, to make friends. And then you expounded by saying, positive
Yes.
friends,
Right.
right? I always tell my children, I just always say, as old people say, I doesn't quote from Plato and those people. And then I say, old people say,
Yeah.
friends will bring you go and they don't bring you come back. Exactly. And also, old people say, you make children, but you don't
Make
make
them
minds, but you can guide
guide.
them. And every child is different. And I applaud your comments this morning and all that you have been saying because it was really along that line. Because I was thinking that in my mind while I was listening to you. I said, Lord, we make children, we don't make the mind. And as parents, as you said, we forget that we were children one time. So we need to instill the confidence. Early up in the talk, you all spoke about the era that we're living in, right, Roya?
Yes.
So long ago, people, your generation, Miss and Roya might be a little younger than us,
Yes.
but still, back then things were things were different
Very
to
much.
how it is for children now. My son and my daughter are the generation now, and they are so much into the devices that it has become a problem for me that I have observed that my children don't know how to socialize with adults because of the exposure to the media and the devices and stuff like that. Sometimes my son would ask me, Daddy, could you call for me, please? And ask him. I say, come on, try your best and let me tell you what to do and I'll tell you what to say. That I'm trying to give him some confidence.
There's
They
opposition.
just don't know. And that is not just my kids alone.
No.
That's a lot of people, children.
Myself.
So the devices and the media and the times we're living in has take away all the confidence from our children,
And it's
and we need
added
to
to the
find
challenges. Yes. Mm-hmm.
yes, we need to instill some form of getting the confidence back into them. Now, there's a saying also, old people say that parents should be a child's best friend, but that is not always the case, right? Because we see some in some marriages and some homes, the husband and the wife are not best friends. They have their best friends on the outside. But we still have to try. We have to try to be our children's best friend. Speak to them always. As we say, you make them, you don't make them mind. But the more you say to them in a nice way, let's hope the confidence would come back and they would be able to be growing up as confident people, people who, could relate to society. So thank you once again. And
So
all that you have said this morning has been so relevant. So thank you.
okay.
All right. Have a good morning.
You
See you. Bye bye now.
All right.
Okay. Bye bye.
Thank you. That was William broadcast. Um, so let us look at the time we have. We have about 3 more minutes, so we're gonna just look at two more.
Remember, I wanted to stick in one. I believe in this hugely, like affirmations.
Yeah.
I think it's important, especially if your child may be struggling with a particular flaw or a particular um this view that they have maybe about a particular body part. It's always good to reaffirm and to stick up affirmations,
Yeah.
maybe on their mirrors or in their rooms, so that when they wake up in the morning, it's a reminder.
Right.
Before they leave the house, you let them know that is if you're home when they're leaving, you're precious. I expect the best from you, regardless of what happens. You're loved and you're supported. So affirmations are really, really important. And if a child is struggling with a particular characteristic, you write the opposite of that.
Right.
So if somebody tells her, for example, she comes home and she complains, Mommy, somebody tell me today I'm weak and I'm worthless. You write the opposite of
Yeah,
that.
I'm
You're
strong,
strong,
right.
you're valued, you're valuable. Stick those things up so that it's a constant reminder. If they keep repeating it, then it eventually becomes a part of them.
Right. So another point here, another tip is to provide a supportive environment. Be a good role model. Focus on their strengths. Offer unconditional positive regard. Foster healthy friendships, sorry. Use positive communication. Name their strengths. Avoid critical language. Break down tasks and talk about feelings.
Yes.
How they feel.
Yes.
You
And
really,
he mentioned boys in particular, and that's something that a lot of young men and persons in relationships, men don't like to share their feelings and they don't like to speak about their feelings. But where does that start from? Because again, we have this skewed perception of what a man is supposed to be and how a man is supposed to behave,
right.
and a man is not
Society.
yeah, a man is not supposed to cry this way, and man
But
is not supposed to
show
why you behaving
emotions
so
and
much, you a girl, and
yes.
this kind of thing. So we have to be very careful, with those kind of comments and those things that we said. And as the caller said before, being able to help our children to regain
Their
their
confidence.
confidence, and the thing about it is that it's not just for now.
It's for long term.
It's for long term, because sometimes our children are, as adults, we're afraid to venture away from our comfort zone because of a lack of confidence. Sometimes we have the ability to take on another job, but we say, I don't think I could do it. I don't think, and I'm speaking to myself here, I don't think I could do it. I don't think I'm capable. And all of these things start very, very young. When we start questioning our abilities and start having those kind of self-doubt. So it's not just for children.
Yes, it's for
If we don't fix it now, it affects us into adulthood, that even as grown persons, we do not explore. We do not take the risk that we need to take. We do not try new things as well. And we stay stuck in certain positions for a very long time. For a very long time. Yes.
And just to wrap up and to conclude our program, we have exhausted our mermaids.
Wow.
Dear parents, confidence is like a fragile plant. It can be watered with love, encouragement, and patience, or it can be trampled on the harsh words and neglect. If you want your children to grow into bold, secure, and successful adults, be intentional. Correct wisely, love deeply, and affirm constantly. Remember this. Every child deserves a home that that builds them up, not one that tears them down. You got this, parents. And we end our program. Thank you so much for your comments. Thank you so much, Miss Digans, for being with
Thank
us
you
here
for
today.
having me. It was indeed a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Do enjoy the rest of the week, and we look forward to having you on our program next Tuesday for another mental health program. Do enjoy the rest of the day.
Bye, everyone. Thank you. This was good.
Oh, wake up, it's a brand new day. Got some things I need to say. Feeling heavy and not alone. Come take 5, you're in the zone. Voices come what's that care. Two good friends always there. Let the sunlight in your mind. Peace and hope you're sure to find. We'll take CJ and Jester. Talking truth and lifting pressure. Every Tuesday, 10 to